What is up, Nets fans? Welcome to the Brooklyn Buzz. I'm your host, Nick Fay. No Jack Manuel today, but special guest, Will Jackson of OTG Basketball. What's up, Will? How we doing?
What's going on, guys?
I'm doing okay. I survived the Nets game. It was really a roller coaster game of runs all over the place. Before we dive into that, quick reminder, check us out, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, OTGBasketball.com, NetsRepublic.com, Dash Radio, and YouTube. But Will, obviously, Lou Will just hit down the game winner, three-pointer, contested, 30 feet. How do you feel right now after the 10-0 run the Nets made to tie it up?
I think disappointed is an understatement. I mean, there's nothing you can do at this point when there's great defense on the play. Will just made the shot.
Exactly. I mean, Spencer was great. They really made him uncomfortable, too. It was just like a horse shot he knocked down for the win. Obviously, it would have definitely felt like the Nets stole the game if they did win. So they had plenty of stretches in this game where they could have played better and probably walked away with the W.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Obviously, we kind of talked about this off air a little bit. Free throws again, missing 7 tonight, knocked down a few more. You're in better position. Even a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, who shoots great free throw percentage throughout the season, had a rough night from the line and a rough night in general, really.
Yeah, I mean, he started out 0 for 10, I think, and at that point, I don't know why he decided to keep shooting, but yeah, it was just a rough night in general for the team.
Yeah, a lot of missed layups, too, not just Spencer. He missed a couple around the rim. Jared Allen missed one late. DeMarre Carroll missed some. It was just like everybody was missing shots they usually make. And obviously the big runs from the Clippers, it was like 30-6 at one point. They had a big run again in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. So it's just like, how do the Nets slow down these runs from these teams? We saw it in the Utah game as well. Like, what do they need to do to slow down these runs the other teams are making? Obviously, you're going to have stretches you go cold, but there's got to be something they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Kenny was pretty smart earlier in the game with the timeouts that he was using, but when it got later, I feel like he could have been a little bit smarter with the timeouts that he was calling. And then also, it's just defense wins championships, they always say, and I just felt like we were leaving some guys too much space.
Yeah, one thing that I felt like led to other problems was the fact the Nets were turning over the ball, allowing the other team to get in transition or just get the Nets in their man-to-man defense, where the Nets played a lot better defense tonight when they were in zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that we criticized the zone so much over the past few games, and tonight it finally worked, but it still ended up in a loss.
Yeah, I felt like in that third quarter you had some really good moments where they were able to kind of make that comeback to tie it. Obviously, Clippers pulled away again in the fourth, but the zone definitely had its moments where it stuck out. What did you think about? I know I talked to Jack a little bit during the game, and you want us to talk about the minute allocation. Thoughts about D'Angelo not getting big minutes in the first half? I believe he only played 12 minutes, same amount of Trevion Graham.
I don't mind it, especially because it's the first half. D'Lo's been known more as a second half player throughout his early career, but I don't mind it because he definitely picked it up in the fourth quarter when we needed it.
Yeah, I thought, maybe he could have came in during that stretch in one of the big runs that the Clippers were making, but I didn't hate it as long as he played bigger minutes in the second half, which he did. The only thing I think the counter argument would be, Dinwiddie wasn't great tonight. Maybe he should have got his minutes cut and they should have went to D'Angelo. So something to always keep an eye on. Obviously, I think Shabazz is just out of the rotation right now. But on the Trevion Graham front, 18 minutes tonight, and honestly, he impacted the offense negatively.
Yeah, I mean, Trevion Graham, when you are just shooting as poorly as he's been shooting, you just have to stop shooting, and he just can't, it feels like. And we just need to remove him from the rotation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the fact is the Nets were playing fine defense when he was out of the rotation. He was out injured, and offensively, he's so negative in terms of he has to really shoot the ball because he has to be out there and be aggressive, but he's not knocking down shots. So I think at this point, it might make more sense to go to Jared Dudley.
Yeah, I agree, especially with we know Jared Dudley has great impact on the floor whenever he's on there, especially with his intangibles. I think that he'd be great.
Exactly. And if they're going to run the zone, I think you can hide Dudley a lot easier than if it's man-to-man defense. And right now they need the spacing offensively. Maybe Dudley's not 100% or maybe he's not feeling good, but I'd rather see him in the next game over Graham. I think the Graham experiment just isn't going to work out, and the Nets can't afford to have a negative offensive player on the floor right now.
I agree 100%.
Do you think they missed Allen Crabbe tonight?
I do, especially because Joe Harris only was able to get 6 threes up, and he made half of them. They definitely missed the spacing on the floor.
Yeah, it was nice to see Joe knock down a couple threes. So like we've talked about, Jack and I in previous shows, is he's getting a ton of attention out there. Let's go over to D'Angelo, though. Big game in the fourth quarter, big game in the third quarter, 32 points, 13-25, 6-12 from three, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, only 3 turnovers, and a steal. What were your thoughts on his game?
Yeah, he really turned around his offensive slump that he's been in lately. When you take 25 shots and make over half of them, you're having a great night. And we talked about it pregame. He made a great pass at the end of the game that really just showed the kind of player he is.
Yeah, that pass at the end to hit Allen to tie it up, I felt like that was an elite moment because a lot of times players kind of get eaten up in that big moment. It's probably happened to D'Angelo maybe even earlier in the season, but tonight he made the right read, hit Jared Allen for the easy dunk, tied up the game. So a lot of big moments from him. I thought he played solid defensively too at certain points during the game. He kind of picked it up in the second half. And like you said, it's nice to see him out of the slump. Hopefully, Spencer isn't going to a slump and Karras can kind of get out of his slump. Talking about Karras LeVert, 12 points, 6 of 15 from the field, 0 of 4 from three, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 turnovers. What'd you like from him? What didn't you like?
I think we're finally starting to see the Caris LeVert, or at least a little bit of the Caris LeVert we saw earlier in the season. He had a couple of really good flashes throughout the game where he made a really, he made the tough layups. He was getting to the basket and actually putting them in, and I really like what I saw.
Yeah, I love to see, the Euro step was discussing that he had, I think, in the second half. Nice to see him in transition. I think that's when he's at his best. Obviously, the jump shot is still a concern. The rhythm is starting to come back, but it's just not quite there. But the one thing that really popped tonight, 7 assists. So he was driving to the rim instead of trying to force up shots or kind of lose control, which he has in the past stretch of coming back. He found the open guy and got some assists tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's really important with this Nets team. Earlier in the game, you were making that extra pass, and that was really leading to some open buckets.
Other than Trevion Graham not playing and maybe D'Angelo needing more minutes, I think the one mistake that Kenny made tonight, I think I would have played Ed Davis more minutes and Jared Allen less.
Yeah, 18 minutes seems low for Ed Davis, especially against the Clippers, where we really need to win the rebounding battle.
Yeah, and that rebounding battle, impacted the game in a really negative impact for the Nets. A ton of offensive rebounds, and then it felt like every time they got the offensive rebound, it was like an easy corner three for Lou Will or Schmidt. So it's just like having Ed Davis out there, especially against a physical presence like Harrell, would have made more sense, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Davis, we know him as a great rebounder, and I think we really could use him.
Now, talking about Rodion's, obviously one of the
Oh,
roughest nights for him. Some of it was a couple ticky-tacky fouls, but some are just you're a rookie. You got to, clean up those mistakes. Only got to play 12 minutes after fouling out.
yeah, and it wasn't a bad 12 minutes, but it was just you really need to learn how to clean up those fouls, man.
Yeah, you can't be reaching. The last foul he got called for was a really soft foul. It was on Lou Will, but you just can't reach in that situation when you have 5 fouls. And, the team really needs him out there because right now he's a guy who's knocking down his three-point shot.
Yeah, and that's something that you'll learn the more you play in the NBA. I feel like just that's his rookiness coming out, and that's something I'll learn later.
Yeah, agreed. It's a learning experience from him. Obviously, he's already starting substantially more games than pretty much anybody expected this season and playing more minutes. So, we shouldn't complain about him at all. But one guy who needs some more love that just doesn't seem to get the proper love, obviously, you just recently wrote an article on him. Carroll, 22 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6, 5 free throws, 7 rebounds. And he was just after the loose balls, had a ton of big plays late in this game. Thoughts on Carroll?
There's nothing I can say more about Carroll than I already have. I love this man. He just makes the smart plays. He's an amazing veteran. He's showing his value time and time again. Especially the play that stuck out to me the most was when the ball was running out of bounds and Carroll saved it by knocking off Gallinari's leg.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good play. Gallinari was kind of just, floating out of bounds, thought no one was coming around him. DeMar made the extra hustle. You love that. And those are the plays that are going to help the Nets win games that they aren't necessarily supposed to win. Tonight, that almost happened. So Carroll's always playing a big part in terms of, the Nets' success.
Yeah, no, there's nothing more you can say about him except amazing.
Now, Will, any concerns that you're seeing, from the Utah game in this game? One thing that stuck out in my eyes was at certain times the Nets just almost get lazy when it comes to the pick and roll or getting caught on screens, and the other team either puts Jared Allen in a 2-on-1 situation or they end up getting an easy shot. Do you think that's something they need to adjust to, or the guys just need to do a better job getting around the screens?
I think that's a little bit of laziness. I think it's a little bit of just learning to adjust to different offenses that you see in the league. And the other thing that sticks out to me in these two games is, getting the hot start and not being able to hold on to the lead.
Yeah, that's a real struggle. Obviously up at 19 1 point tonight. And like we talked about, the Clippers going that insane run in the second quarter. Like we talked about, some of that being on Kenny, some of that being on the team. It's just guys are in rough stretches right now and they need to kind of find some rhythm or this road trip is going to go really bad for the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to sneak out at least 2 wins for the rest of this road trip.
Yeah, obviously the game against Sacramento is going to be big. A team we beat earlier in the season at home. They've been a surprise this year, but that's the opportunity on the road. The Nets can really win that game. And obviously the Lakers have not been good. LeBron, who knows, might even be rested that game. So that's
Hopefully.
that's a must win.
Yeah, especially after how the Lakers lost tonight. We have to win
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. So, Will, what guys are you looking at that really need to step up their game for the upcoming stretch of this road trip and the rest of the season?
Obviously, I have to lean on our all-star, D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he's taken the role of being the leader of this team, and I feel like he really needs to step up and carry us through this.
Yeah, I think tonight was a positive sign. You just saw a little bit more swag than you've seen in the last few games. Also, one thing he's developing nicely is this like fake layup that he has, where he's pretending to
Yeah,
go
I've
inside
seen
it.
this.
Yeah, it's not a Euro step. It's just with his hands, but he gets guys every time. So I think that's something he's going to go to a little bit more. Obviously, I'd like to see Spencer get going, and if Carroll LeVert can just get a little bit of his jump shot back, I think that'd be better. So hopefully, we see Alan Crabb too early this week.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will.
Yeah, it'd be a big boost. Hopefully, Crab can get going. I think if out of the names of Crab, Dinwiddie, and LeVert, if two of the three can get going, I think that'd be a big boost for the team.
That'd be huge, especially with Crab's shooting ability. That'd be amazing
Yeah.
for us.
If Crab can get, the AC that we saw at the end of last season and do that at the end of this year, that'd be big for the team, especially if they want to make the playoffs. Obviously, that's not a guarantee. A couple things did happen tonight. Miami beat Charlotte, but also Orlando picked up the W and Detroit picked up the W. So the Nets need to continue to win games they want to get in the postseason.
Yeah, I don't know how Detroit just keeps winning these big games, but they keep doing. We have to keep pace.
Yeah, and I think Detroit's, got a couple good breaks. I want to say Lowry didn't play today as well. So, some of these teams are getting breaks and guys resting. A low-key rooting interest for the Nets fans would be the Bucks to kind of win out and the Raptors to lose more games so they could lock up that number one seed. So by the time they face them the last 2 weeks of the season, they may be resting guys like Giannis or Chris Middleton, especially with a Brogdon injury.
Yeah, that'd be big for us, especially if they rush Giannis, because we are not going to match up well against them.
Yeah, I'm not sure really anybody does, and even the games you do, you still almost lose. So, Will, any other final thoughts on this one before we get out of here?
I mean, we just need to wrap up a W, at least one, for the rest of this road trip if we want to stay serious about this.
What do you think is going to be the biggest factor in the next game in terms of the Nets getting W? Is it going to be free throw shooting? Is it going to be rebounding, defensive effort, knocking down their shots, certain players stepping up? What is it in your eyes if you had to put it on one thing?
I think it would be mostly defense. I think that we were leaving a little bit too much room for Lou Will and Mo Harrell tonight. So I think locking up the defense would be really important for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think defense is something you can always control, and that almost kind of attaches rebounding because if you're finishing off a defensive possession, it is getting the rebound. So if they can play with that high intensity for an entire game or majority of the game, they'll give themselves a good shot to win. Tonight, they just had too many stretches where they're inconsistent, and against good teams in the West, that's going to lose you the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but we have to learn to adjust.
Exactly. All right, Will, pleasure having you on. Check us out, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, OTGBasketball.com, Google Play, Dash Radio, and YouTube. And as always, thanks for listening.